Mr. Hoggart, would you tell us a little about yourself?
I was born into the working class in Leeds. I went to the local elementary school and won a scholarship to grammar school, and then went on to university where I took an English degree.
A background rather like Lawrence's own, then.
Lawrence didn't go to university. He went to a teacher's training college, and perhaps there's something particular about a Nottinghamshire mining village upbringing. We're not all the same as working class lads, you know.
No, indeed. And you're now a senior lecturer in English at Leicester University. And you lecture on Lawrence to the young people under your care.
Yes, I do.
This book, Lady Chatterley's Lover, has been described in court as little more than vicious indulgence in sex and sensuality. Is that a valid description of the book?
Not at all. It's not vicious. It is highly virtuous and, if anything, puritanical.
Did you say virtuous and puritanical?
Yes, sir. I believe it's a very moral book. In fact, you could say that the physical, sexual side is not that important to Lawrence. I know that sounds paradoxical. What Lawrence is interested in is a relationship which is, in the deeper sense, spiritual. It's a kind of sacrament for him.
So what exactly do you mean by saying this is a moral book?
I mean that the overwhelming impression I get, as a careful reader, is of the enormous reverence which must be paid by one human being to another in a physical relationship. These relationships are not matters in which we use each other like animals. This spirit seems to me to pervade the book throughout, so I would call the book highly moral, not at all degrading of sex.
And the four-letter words have been referred to. What is your view on them?
They are part of the normal discourse of many people, and not only working class people. They're used very freely indeed in everyday life. 50 yards from the court this morning, I heard a man say fuck 3 times as he passed me. He was speaking to himself. He said fuck it, fuck it, fuck it as he went past. If you worked on a building site, as I have, you will hear it over and over again. The word is used in contempt, of course, as a term of abuse. Lawrence wanted to re-establish its proper use.
Which is?
As the word for the sexual act. We have no word in English for it that is neither a long abstraction or an evasive euphemism, and we're constantly running away from it or dissolving into dots in a passage like this. Lawrence wanted us to say, this is what one does. In a simple, ordinary way, one fucks. With no sniggering or dirt, one fucks.
I wonder, Mr. Hoggart, do you belong to that body of people who oppose all prosecutions for obscenity?
Not at all, but I do resent the fact that ordinary men and women should be prevented from reading a serious book by a great writer who has something of importance to say.
I see. Now, you described this book as highly virtuous, if not puritanical. That is your genuine and considered view, is it?
Yes, it is.
Well, perhaps I've spent my whole life under a misapprehension of the meaning of the word puritanical. Can you enlighten me?
Yes. Many people live their lives under the same misapprehension. This is the way that language decays. In England today, the word has been extended to mean someone who's against anything pleasurable, particularly sex. Its true meaning is somebody who belongs to the tradition of British Puritanism, and the defining feature of that is an intense sense of responsibility for one's conscience. In this sense, the book is puritanical.
I'm obliged to you for that lecture.
In fact, one could say...
Mr. Hoggart, I don't want to stop you if you have something further to say, but the question I want to ask you is quite a simple one to answer without another lecture. We are not at Leicester University at the moment. Now, I want to see more precisely what you describe as puritanical. Would you look at page 222 of the book? Lady Chatterley is drying her hair in front of the fire after one of their bouts, when he took her, and I quote, like an animal. He stroked her tail with his hand, long and subtly taking in the curves and the globefulness. Thou's got such a nice tail on thee. It's the nicest woman's arse as is. And every bit of it is woman sure as nuts. Thou'rt not one of them button-arse lasses as should be lads, arter. Thou's got a real soft, sloping bottom on thee, as a man loves in his guts. Is that a passage you would describe as puritanical?
Yes, puritanical and poignant and tender.
All the while he spoke, he exquisitely stroked the rounded tail till it seemed as if a slippery sort of fire came from it into his hand, and his fingertips touched the two secret openings to her body, time after time, with a soft little brush of fire. Is that puritanical?
Yes, indeed it is.
I see. And if thou shits, and if thou pisses, I'm glad I don't want a woman as couldna shit nor piss. Is that puritanical?
Yes, it is.
Here thou shits, and here thou pisses, and I lay my hand on 'em both, and I like thee for it, I like thee for it. Thou's got a proper woman's arse, proud of itself, it's none ashamed of itself, this isna. He laid his hand close and firm over her secret places in a kind of close greeting, and that is puritanical, is it?
In my view, it is puritanical, and poignant, and tender.